Gone Home was named Polygon's Game of the Year in 2013, and many critics have called it amazing, praising the impeccable writing and powerful themes, or the simple yet effective interface and the meticulous attention to visual detail, calling the characters unforgettable. GameSpot gave it a 9.5 rating for the rich 90s atmosphere and heartbreakingly honest writing, listing no bad comments. However, the contrast between the favorable review among 11 critics versus the generally unfavorable review amongst 365 users prompts us to take a deeper look into this game to discover its true merits.
Hi, Mom. So I got my ticket home from Europe. I get back on June 6th, but it's a really late flight because that was the cheapest, so it gets in at midnight. Okay, so love you. See you soon. Bye.
You play the character Katie Greenbrier, who has just come home after a long trip to Europe on a stormy night in June of 1995. When you enter the home, no one is there. It's your job to discover where your family has gone. Gone Home tells its tale by placing you, the gamer, in one of the character's shoes. Some would call this environmental storytelling. The game is about exploration and detective work rather than combat or competition. The player must work through the clues to capture the story. This game succeeds in some criteria while failing in others. Let's take a look into the good aspects of this game first. Gone Home makes the player feel as if they are examining a real person's home. There are enough details in the graphics and interactivity with objects that make the home feel very realistic and lived in. There are invoices that give hints into the characters' lives, bookmarks that hint at your mother's affair with her coworker, cheat codes to video games, and even old binders from your sister's childhood. This is new to the game-playing world, where things rarely get this personal or realistic. In games like GTA or Skyrim, there aren't any notes or invoices lying around the characters' homes, which makes Gone Home so deeply personal. I think there are just enough challenges to classify Gone Home as a game with objectives. The player must find a locker code, keys, and secret passages to get the full story. I think this was frustrating at times, but pleasantly so. I also think that the critics are correct in applauding the setting of the story. The 90s setting gives the home an emotional sense of nostalgia that captures the player. The house very authentically reflects this time period, with the video games lying around, the punk music you can play by inserting cassettes in the radio, and written notes scattered around the house. If the game had been set in modern day, these notes that had been passed around in class between Lonnie and your sister would seem cheesy and unrealistic, since texting has taken over. Picking up certain items will trigger journal entries from your sister.
Lonnie came over today, but everything was different.
These readings were a great way to tell the story. Your sister was very honest when writing these letters to you, which made the message sincere. The actor who plays the voice of your sister does an awesome job of conveying these emotions.
She got up and sat next to me on the bed, and that's when she kissed me.
Now let's take a look at some of Gone Home's less successful elements. There was an element of horror that lurked around the house. From the Ouija boards, satanic star with candles, dark rooms, unnecessarily loud lightning and creaking, and a journal of ghostly encounters that your sister has written. Just watch what you experience as soon as you walk into the Greenbrier home. Halfway through the story, these supernatural suspicions completely disappear. This part of the story was distracting, unnecessary, and frankly completely out of place. The dark rooms and roaring thunderstorm were enough to make the setting creepy and mysterious, but the Ouija board and satanic stars were over the top. The entire time I was expecting something to happen or pop out at you, and it never happened. The game is very short. The runtime is approximately 2 hours, maybe 3 if you inspect absolutely everything in the house. When a game is this short, you have to question whether you are getting your money's worth. You paid $20 to download Gone Home, which equates to approximately $10 an hour. compared to other storytelling games like Skyrim or Bioshock, which cost about $10 or $15 now and take weeks or even months to finish, equating to only cents per hour. Gone Home is a bit too short. The player could easily stumble across a journal entry read out loud that is further along in the storyline than the author intended it to be found. The story loses a lot of meaning this way. I think the game could have been made in such a way that journal entries were read in a specific order no matter what, regardless of the object you find that triggers the audio clip. The genius producers of this game wasted their talents by telling this story that is already the plotline of several preteen movies and novels. The angsty high schooler and unapproving parents in a troubled marriage are the subject of countless stories. It didn't captivate my attention because I predicted the entire story after hearing a couple journal entries. Overall, I'd rate this game a 6 out of 10. It was a success in interactive storytelling, but a failure as a game for widespread user consumption. The talented producers of this game shouldn't have told a story with a generic plotline that was predictable to many users. Don't get me wrong, the house was beautifully constructed and truly made the user feel immersed into an investigation of this mysterious setting. If the game had less distracting horror elements, a more original plotline, and more sequenced events, I am sure the users would finally agree with the critics on the merits of this game.